Transformational Truth. I'm Ashley Elizabeth, and I am here with Michelle, and we are so excited to welcome you back to another one of our Sunday riff-offs. We love to welcome you to this expectation-free space where you get to come exactly as you are. It is an open invitation just for you to journey with us into the heart of transformational truth. And every Sunday when we do these, we have this magical wheel full of topics that we spin, and you get to hear Rochelle and my raw, real, in the moment thoughts about those particular ideas. And then we invite you to come and join us in our Transformational Truth Facebook group where we dig deeper and we go harder into all of these different topics. Rochelle, how are you feeling this morning?
I'm in such a great space. I just recorded 2 podcasts outside of Transformational Truth. And so I'm just in that space of receiving and then sharing. So I think the vibration is already super high. And I look forward to seeing which one we land on. I know we always kind of talk about it beforehand. And I shared the 3 that was kind of on my radar. So it'll be interesting to see if it'll land on one of those or if it's going to land on a different one. So let's go. Let's spin the wheel. I'm so excited. My favorite part of like every month.
I love it. And you guys can see that there are a lot of different topics here. If you ever want to suggest a topic for us to put on the wheel, don't hesitate to comment on this video, or you can take a look in our Transformational Truth Facebook group and drop us a comment there. So this week, we are going to be digging into, doing versus being. How interesting.
I did not expect that one at all.
I did not expect that one either. I know for me personally, it's definitely hitting, for me, a space that I've been in really since the beginning of the school year, where I've been trying to kind of balance those 2 things. There have been a lot of things on the to-do list, so to speak, and trying to make time and space for just being it's been a challenge for me. I don't know. I know that August was a little bit of a crazy month for you too, so it's kind of interesting to me that we landed here.
Yeah, now that we're kind of rounding out September, we've been in our new spaces for almost 2 months now as we're both educators and on different capacities. And I think that one thing I really want to kind of bring up is anxiety and how anxiety is so much a part of this topic, in the doing versus being for me personally, that I am a go with the flow kind of person, but with structure. And I recently had a conversation with my husband about this. We have our systems in place, and where that all began, I'll give you a little backstory to that, is that we had somebody, I finally asked for help. And we had somebody come out just the other day, I think it was Thursday, and she's going to help me once a month do a detailed clean of the house. And there's a whole bunch of processes to getting to that point, but I finally did it. And, it was so that I could be more than do, and so that my kids could be more than they were doing. And we are 6 people doing school and work and all the things 24/7. And we have great systems in place, dishes, sweeping, all of that. But some of the deeper things, if I could go deeper on the deeper things, kind of get to push to the wayside and or take priority. And we decided as a family that every other weekend or more, we were going to at least take one of the days of the weekend to just go and be. And we've been doing that. We've honored that. And we want to create that as a habit, to also teach our kids to give themselves permission of that. And sometimes delegating the doing to other people is best. Wow, this is really flowing. Like at first I was like, I can't talk on this subject right now. But that's so important to delegate some of the doing so that you can be more. So, so I've done that, and we're going to have our first deep clean next month in October. and that's going to make space for more being for us. And, you know, if that means maybe not going out for a meal during our being and packing a lunch instead, it's going to be totally worth it for us that once a month we don't have to worry about those kind of things. And so that's something that I guess I'm stepping into.
Yeah, I love that. I think I think it's important for us to talk about the fact that I think being just this idea of, being present and not trying to satisfy some kind of expectation or obligation or task, or I don't know, whatever it might be. I think that being is really closely related to some of our work that we've talked about with authenticity, and it's really closely related to some of our work that we've talked about in creating silences, and it's really closely related to, some of our work that we've done prior to now, because in order to be comfortable just being, we have to be comfortable with ourselves, and we have to be okay with what comes up in those moments. And I think in our culture right now, and I think in our society, and I think just the pace of the world, I think it feels like it demands so much doing, right? And it's so hard to say that, well, I have done enough so that I
Mm,
can just be for a little while. It's almost like the being is earned and the
mm,
doing is required.
yes.
And the thing is that's not what's healthy, and that's not what's best for us. It's I saw something the other day. It was a quote, and it was about you should spend 1 hour in nature, completely immersed in nature every day. Unless you're really busy, then it should be 6 or something like that. It was,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
it was supposed to make you chuckle, but at the same time, the idea behind it, I feel like really rings true here, right? It's like the more that we get consumed in doing all the things that we do, the running, the hustling, I feel like is so much of a word that we, use right now. The more that we get caught up in that, the less we make time and space to just be. And it's in that being where we really, you've talked about this a lot recently, Rochelle, but, kind of taking that emotional temperature, right? Or seeing where we're at with that. We need to not be hitting that rapid pace of life in order to have an accurate assessment really of where we're at. And I think it also speaks to our level of, I don't know, comfort and security in the moments that we're in, how much we're pushing to do versus how much we're making space to be. I don't know. It's
I
what's
think
coming
we
up
live
for
in
me
such a
right now.
performance-based
Oh Lord.
society.
Yes.
And I talk about this a lot on my Facebook page, by the way, if you're ever curious about what's on my mind about performance-based society, is and also and I'm gonna circle around to this, probably in almost everything I talk about lately is being in the masculine versus the feminine. You
Yeah.
know, just because we're born a woman or born a man, it's all about the balance of both of them, right? Everything in life is about balance. All the honoring of our feelings, all the honoring of our what we choose to do, all of it. And, you know, in the doing, we're in the masculine, and in the being, we're in the feminine. And it's important for all women and men who are listening to this to truly understand that without one, there cannot be the other. And circling back to the anxiety part of it, is that when we don't allow the balance of both, that is where anxiety lives. And, you know, people have their own opinions about, is anxiety real? Is it a mental disorder? Is it this, that, and the other? Da, da, da. We're taught anxiety. It's been proven in societies that honor both spaces that anxiety is in a lower percentage, you know, has a lower percentage. There's a study in Italy where they take intentional time to just be with one another, and their relationships with their friends and their family are done intentionally, not in the doing, but in the being together. And they don't have, a high rate of needing therapists. Being with loved ones is the best therapy you can have. I've had a friend in town all week, and that's been the best therapy for me, for someone to just be with that person, and it's why I feel like I show up in a lot of different spaces, is to have that balance. And I think that we've gotten so far away from each other for multiple reasons that I won't dive into, but they're obvious, is that you can be an introvert like myself and need less distractions and need less stimulation and all of the things, and not always need to be around people to experience that level of joy. But then everybody needs it for the being. You get to, when you're being yourself with somebody else, it's a whole different level of energy. And it's just always just discovering like what's best for you, what works with you. And then when you feel something that's not working, that is when you're in the doing. And then when you can just sit, you're in the being. And it's just, I see this all the time as a tutor, that a lot of parents are always wanting their kids to be in the doing. And I give my kids a lot of downtime. We're homeschoolers, but my kids do dance. They go mountain biking. They go to work. They, whatever. But I feel like as a mom, I always wanted to make the being a priority. And I think that that gives my kids permission to not have those anxious feelings, or to give themselves permission to go read a book or turn on a show or go take a walk. Like my kids just randomly say, I'm going to go take a walk when we're doing schoolwork. And they get to that point of, I can't be in the doing. I need to just go be. And we live in Colorado, in nature, all the things. So they get to be for 5-10 minutes, whatever. And they just walk around our driveway. And I think it's important to give yourself permission to create those spaces. Let's say you work at an office or at school or whatever, take those 10-minute walks outside, like you said, in nature. And it accumulates to an hour, maybe at the end of the week, for whatever your circumstances are, that you can't get that hour in. But every little decision we make allows us to create that balance. So
I agree. I think that even in our transformational truth space, as you were talking, I was, thinking about how you and I operate in this space, and we're very intentional about, bringing things to people that we want to be impactful, and we obviously want them to get a lot of things out of it. And also, we don't operate in the doing when we're here. We let things flow. We're not gonna, stay, I don't know, trapped in a rigid schedule or in exactly the way that something has to be. And I think that's one of the things that makes this space really special, because when you and I are showing up in this space, we are being, right? And we're bringing that to the table. And I think, honestly, since I've met you, it's been a space that I've stepped into more and more for myself. Just giving myself, I think, and you talk about this so much. I can't actually, I'm a little surprised we haven't used this word yet as we've been doing this podcast, but giving myself permission to just be for a little while. I can be a highly productive individual, and I am very, very good at doing. That does not mean that it is healthy for me. And that does not mean that that's the space that I should be occupying all of the time. It's better for me when I'm taking time to step back and to really think about what's going to serve me and my heart really well right now in this moment, and not in a selfish way, but in I can function better, and I show up more authentically, and I show up healthier when I've given myself that space. And I think that we're not as at risk in the doing when we've made that balance, made space for that balance. So I'm really excited about some of the things that we're going to be bringing in our Facebook group over these next couple of weeks, because I feel like this is a walk you and I have been, and not that everybody ever gets it perfect, but this is a walk that you and I have been walking now for quite some time. And I'm excited about being able to share some of the strategies and things that we're using as we continue to step into that for ourselves. I also am really excited to challenge the people who are listening to this, not only just to hop in our Facebook group, but to make some of that really intentional time and to see what comes up for you during some really intentional time that's just for you, where you just get to be. Because if there is some discomfort that shows up in that time, your body's trying to tell you something. It's important.
Exactly. There's something on my heart before we end this podcast. It's a phrase that I coined probably about a year and a half ago. And it was something that I coined for myself first and then give to others. And it's called expectation or invitation without expectation. And it's something that I've done for myself of, create that invitation without expectation for yourself and creating that balance between the doing and the being. You can use that phrase for really anything in life, but then with other people, allow them to show up the way they need to show up in them being in the being, if that made sense. Create that invitation without expectation so that people will feel more comfortable stepping into their being with you as well. And I think that that's really important. I've seen it over the last year and a half where it creates safer spaces and it creates more magic, in my opinion, where people don't feel like they have to be in the doing with you all the time, and that you can just simply sit in your living room together or at a cafe and just be together. So I just felt like I needed to share that.
I love that. We cannot wait to see you guys in our Facebook group. Please don't hesitate to share this. I think this is a message that a lot of people need, especially in our hustle culture that we have right now. So don't hesitate to share it. Drop us a like, a comment, subscribe so you can catch all of our episodes of our Transformational Truth Sunday Riff Off podcast. And we will see you soon.